Gentlemen, third anniversary Livestream is finally ended. Let's summarize them.
Archive.
Ibuki, どうぞ。これをこうして、じゃーん、できた。
ついに降臨してやったぞ。前段発射。あれ、逆？
あら先生、少し遅くないですか？やはりそうだったのですね。危険因子を排除いたします。よく似合ってるって。心を込めて演奏するエレガンテ。
So, new events from Hina, introducing 4 students, 2 new students and the other 2 is an alternative students, starting with the new students. Ibuki the welfare student, appear as supporter that provide attack buff to all allies within circular range. If you familiar with Kotama regular, then Ibuki seems familiar except appear to be striker and has limited range. How good she is the same as Kotama, both are equally good, but that's her regular X skill. There's another X skill apparently. That is X skill with Teramaru. What is Teramaru? That is Iroha's tank. So apparently, if you paired her with Iroha as her enhanced skill explained, can be bound with Iroha. Activating Iroha's skill will make Ibuki also ride the tank. Ibuki stats will goes into Iroha's stats, and then Ibuki X skill will deal damage within big circular area on this state. Literally Ibuki is great student, can make Iroha will deal even more damage against Perorazilla later. But also, good uses as well since she is supporter with attack support skill. On the showcase, her X skill only buff attack by 26% to all allies. I think it's only on level 1. So, her X skill is double purpose. One is increase attack, and other when bound with Iroha's Teramaru will deal area damage. Right, moving on into her and other skills. That is her basic skill is common, dealing damage and reduced offense into one enemy. Enhanced skill, increase max HP as good as her being supporter for better survivability, and also she have permanent passive, which is bounded with Iroha, and that's already explained. Sub skill, she recover HP as her X skill is activated. Overall, seems okay and build worthy for Iroha stats enhancement, but I think casual will use her anyway, because bounded student is something else. Makoto appear as limited student, X skill deal damage to all enemies within circular range. Additionally, the damage she dealt will improve depending how many enemies is in the circle range. Seems to be another great for cheesed. Perorazilla heavy armored, and perhaps other that is many enemies required piercing area damage dealer. Gregorius heavy armored soon it seems. Take a look at the showcase. If there's 5 enemies or less, she deal 155% damage. 6 into 10 enemies will deal 311% damage, and 11 or more enemies deal even greater, 519% of damage dealt. Basic skill, decreased offense of all enemies within range. I will stay neutral on this, since not sure where you can exactly will clutching this skill. Her enhanced skill is increase attack and sound good to me. Even better if her enhanced skill plus are increasing her piercing efficiency, but that's sub skill, making her great to be paired with only piercing teams. From overall view and showcase, seems okay but will do great later in the future, so stay tuned about the update. Moving on into 2 alternative students, Ako dress appear as striker support now. The ability of increasing critical rate and critical damage is still present. However, in the game showcase, her buff is appear to be lower but will buff to all allies within the area. Increase critical rate by 11% and critical damage by 32% with longer duration or 30 seconds. The cost is well, a lot. With that said, the X skill here could possibly on level 1. Additionally, she gains stacks called successfully protection. This stack is explained on her sub skill. Increase her attack depending how much stacks she gain and max is 15 stacks. How useful is this taxes will be answered later when they released and further testing. Basic skill. Deal damage and reduced offenses. Damage dealt are dependable how many stacks she have. Again she is supporter and not totally sure about this until released. Increase max skill is good as supporter for survivability, so overall looks usable, though still unsure, but will become. And then the fest banner, Hina dress, appear a week after to limited student banner, on the 31st of January. Hina dress skills introduction is like a comic page. I am having a difficult time when translating this, but apparently I was wrong. 3 of these are the same description, which is deal damage and will reduce depending how many enemies has been pierced with this X skill. On the game showcase, she dealt damage by 300% for the first and second, reduces by 40% for each enemies is pierced. So, her X skill switching into focus firing position. This state where she can't move or attacking but has time limit, so stationary. Then you need to aim manually her X skill into any area where you want her to fire that X skill, and the damage of it is explained already. You might familiar with her Runa X skill already when seeing this. Basically, her X skill is manual aim that has time ticking. For the first and second shot will deal the same damage, while for the last shot is doubled in the first and second shot. After firing the third shot, become normal state again. Very complicated to explain and hard to understand as it seems. But Hiruna X skill but red. Very painful. Cheap X skill cost and that's it. Basic skill. Immediately she increase her explosive damage efficiency and accuracy. This skill only once activated and no more after that. The duration from her basic skill is unknown, but from the showcases appear to be permanent. That is incredible actually if it's real thing. Her enhanced skill. Increase attack and critical rate. Sound good for less critical molding. Sub skill. Increase explosion damage efficiency and defying taunt effect when her X skill is activated. That increase explosion damage is correct and seen it on showcase, but the defying taunt effect is I'm not sure. So overall, self buff damage dealer incredible stuff. Fest student is always strong and must have. Additionally, this feature is interesting. I like this one. Free 100 pulls when these 2 banner is released. Edges and banner has her a run. Having great chance to spark for those who's missing her. New guide mission. Rewards Hina. Yes, Hina will be free for anyone that hasn't got her yet by completing guide mission. New area has been added. Area 25 with tier 9 gear. With this gear, torment difficulty should be easier, alongside with level cap increased. Some quality of life feature for new player to clearing some stages, bounty, commission and etc. This feature allow you to see how other clearing certain stage the one you having trouble with. Decragrammaton is back. Seems like we are getting closer fighting Malkuth and doing Clank with these child. Hornamus is back after long absent, and this time appear as Grand Assault Boss. You can change the loading screen in the settings. Misaki, Hina Christmas, and Nanomi get buffed with a unique gear. For Misaki and Hina Christmases should be, knowing how terrible their performance, especially Hina Christmas. Nanomi however, is strong area piercing dealer with enormous critical damage and yet get buffed is surprising me, though the last time I uses against Perorazilla heavy defense. Spoiler alert, volume 1 chapter will be released soon. It seems like the chroma effect still going on some of secret feature, like formation idle pose. Victory gesture and idle. New student has their cafe furniture interaction as well. And as cherry on top, I think everyone knows this, that the news is spread all around and everywhere about Blue Archive animation will released on April of this year. Some info might be wrong, so take it grain of salt since they are not released and tested yet.